Don't fool yourself. Sales is not about manipulation, it's about transformation. If you believe in your product, your service, your idea, then it is your responsibility to transfer that belief to someone else. The one who learns how to sell will never go broke. The second skill is communication. Can you take a complicated idea and make it simple? Can you stand in front of people and move their hearts? Can you write words that spark action? Communication is the bridge between your value and their decision. Master it and you will never lack opportunity. The third skill is marketing. You can have the greatest product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, it's worthless. Marketing is the art of getting attention, creating desire, and positioning your solution as the answer. If you want millions, you must learn how to attract, not chase. The fourth skill is leadership. A business is not built by one person alone. It is built by a team. And leadership is not about titles, it's about influence. Can you inspire people to give their best? Can you create an environment where vision becomes reality? Leaders multiply what workers can only add. The fifth skill is financial literacy. It's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep, how you grow it, and how you use it. Wealthy people don't just earn, they allocate, they know the language of money, and they make money their servant instead of being enslaved to it. The sixth skill is adaptability. The marketplace is always changing. Technology shifts, customer behavior evolves, economies rise and fall. If you cling to the past, you get left behind. If you adapt, innovate, and see opportunities where others see problems, you position yourself for exponential growth. The seventh skill is problem solving. Business is nothing more than solving problems for a profit. The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the paycheck you earn. People who complain about problems stay broke. People who solve them get rich. And finally, the skill of vision. Can you see what others cannot see? Can you see the invisible and believe in the impossible until it becomes inevitable? Visionaries create wealth because they live in the future while others are stuck in the present. So hear me, wealth is not reserved for the chosen few. It's reserved for the disciplined few, the ones who commit to learning, to mastering, to applying these skills with persistence and faith. Your future will not be determined by luck. It will be determined by the skills you develop. You want millions, then master million-dollar skills. Stop waiting for a miracle and start becoming the miracle. We live in a world that doesn't pay you based on how long you've been alive. It doesn't pay you based on how hard you work. It doesn't pay you because you show up. It pays you based on the value you create. If you want to move from hundreds to thousands, from thousands to millions, then you have to develop the skills that create millions. And let me tell you, the money is not the goal. The money is the byproduct. The goal is to become the kind of person who possesses the skills that make money inevitable. The first skill is sales. Everything in life is sales. Before you say, I'm not a salesperson, let me tell you something. You've been selling your whole life. You sold yourself to the company you work for when you did that interview. You sold yourself to your spouse when you went on that first date. You sell every time you try to convince somebody to see the world the way you see it. Selling is not about begging. It's not about manipulating. It's not about forcing. Selling is transferring your belief, your conviction, your certainty into the mind and heart of another person until they say, yes, I want that too. People who learn how to sell never go hungry. And people who refuse to learn how to sell, they settle for scraps while watching others feast. The second skill is communication. Now, don't underestimate this one. Communication is the difference between having an idea and turning that idea into influence. If you can speak clearly, if you can write persuasively, if you can move a crowd with your words, you can change your life. Think about it. History remembers speakers more than it remembers thinkers. Why? Because thinkers think, but communicators ignite. You must learn to take a complex idea and make it simple. You must learn to take what's ordinary and make it extraordinary with your words. The words you use can make you wealthy or keep you broke, because words open doors. The third skill is marketing. Listen, the best product does not win. The best known product wins. I've seen people with life-changing solutions, but nobody knows about them, and so they struggle. Meanwhile, someone with a half-baked idea but a full-blown marketing strategy is living in a mansion. Marketing is not lying. It is learning how to tell your story in such a way that people see themselves inside it. Marketing is not manipulation. It's education. It's showing people their problem and then revealing the path to their solution. If you learn marketing, you won't have to chase money. Money will chase you. The fourth skill is leadership. Write this down. Nobody builds wealth alone. You can't become a millionaire with just your two hands, but you can with your vision in the hands of others. Leadership is about influence, not titles. Leadership is about inspiring, not intimidating. Leadership is about bringing out the best in people even when they don't see the best in themselves. A leader multiplies the capacity of a team. Where a worker adds, a leader multiplies. That's why leadership is not optional for building wealth. It's essential. The fifth skill is financial literacy. Some people think their problem is that they don't make enough money. No, for most people, the problem is they don't know what to do with the money they make. They treat money like a river that flows through their fingers instead of a reservoir that can grow into an ocean. You have to learn how money works. Money has laws, just like gravity. If you violate the laws, you lose it. If you respect the laws, you multiply it. The wealthy understand that money is not just for spending, it is for multiplying, for investing, for creating systems that produce more. They don't work for money. Money works for them. And until you learn the language of money, you'll always be working harder and harder while watching your wealth slip away. The sixth skill is adaptability. Let me tell you, markets shift, technology changes, industries collapse, trends fade. If you get stuck in the old way of doing things, you'll get left behind. The millionaires of tomorrow are not the people who cling to the past. They are the people who see the future and adapt today. They don't fight change, they flow with it. When the economy shakes, they don't panic. They pivot. Adaptability is about having the mindset to see opportunity where others see crisis. If you can adapt, you can survive. If you can innovate, you can thrive. The seventh skill is problem solving. Write this in your heart. The size of the problem you solve determines the size of the paycheck you earn. People who complain about problems remain stuck in them. People who solve problems rise above them. The poor avoid problems. The middle class manage problems, and the wealthy solve problems for others and get rich doing it. Every dollar you've ever spent was because somebody solved a problem for you. When you bought that car, you were buying transportation to solve the problem of distance. When you paid for that meal, you were buying convenience to solve the problem of time and hunger. Problems equal profit if you position yourself as the solution. The eighth skill is vision. Vision is not seeing with your eyes, it's seeing with your imagination. Vision is living in the future while operating in the present. Vision is holding a picture of the invisible until it becomes visible. Every building you've ever walked into started as a vision in someone's mind. Every product you've ever used was once only a vision in someone's imagination. Visionaries are wealthy because they see possibilities that others ignore. While most people are stuck reacting to what is, visionaries are creating what will be. Now let me bring this together. Wealth is not an event, it is a process. It's not about one breakthrough, it's about building skills that guarantee breakthrough after breakthrough. You cannot pray for millions while refusing to prepare for millions. You cannot hope for wealth while ignoring the skills that create wealth. The world doesn't pay you for your intentions, it pays you for your execution. The real reason most people never see millions is not because they are unlucky, it's because they are unskilled. They keep wishing for what they are not prepared to handle. They want the harvest without planting the seeds. But the wealthy, they understand the law of the harvest. They plant in learning, they sow in practice, and they reap in millions. If you develop these skills, sales, communication, marketing, leadership, financial literacy, adaptability, problem solving, vision, you will not have to chase money. You will attract it, you will multiply it, you will manage it, and you will build it into wealth that lasts. And hear me carefully, these skills don't just make you rich in money, they make you rich in influence, rich in freedom, rich in impact. Because wealth is not just about the cars, the houses, the vacations. Wealth is about choice. Wealth is about saying yes when you want to say yes and no when you want to say no. Wealth is about buying back your time so you can live your life on your terms, not on someone else's. So if you're serious about building millions, stop waiting for luck. Stop waiting for a miracle. Stop waiting for somebody else to rescue you. Learn the skills. Master the skills. Apply the skills. Because the day you become skilled is the day you become unstoppable. And when you become unstoppable, millions are not just possible. They are inevitable. Let me start by saying this. You don't stumble into millions. You don't trip and fall into wealth. You don't just wake up one morning and find yourself financially free. Wealth is intentional. Wealth is built. Wealth is the byproduct of skills that solve problems for people at a level that they are willing to exchange large amounts of money to get your solution. The world doesn't pay you for effort. It pays you for results. It doesn't pay you for showing up. It pays you for showing out. It doesn't pay you for what you know. It pays you for what you can do with what you know. See, the person who has skills never has to beg for opportunity. And the person who has no skills always wonders why opportunity never knocks. Millions are not about luck. Millions are about leverage. And leverage comes from learning skills that move you out of the land of mediocrity into the land of mastery. The first skill you must master is sales. You can deny it, you can resist it, but you cannot escape it. Life is sales, everything is sales. You sold your boss on why you were the right person to hire. You sold your spouse on why you were worth marrying. You sell your children every day when you convince them to eat their vegetables or do their homework. Sales is the oxygen of business. Without it, everything dies. If you cannot sell, you cannot scale. If you cannot sell, you cannot sustain. Sales is not manipulation. Sales is the transfer of belief. When you are convinced beyond doubt that your product, your service, your offer will change someone's life, you transfer that conviction into the heart of another human being until they believe it too. And once they believe, the decision to buy is easy. You don't have to convince people to breathe because oxygen is essential. You don't have to beg people to drink water because water is essential. When you sell correctly, your product becomes oxygen, your service becomes water, your offer becomes the answer to a need they cannot live without. That's why people who learn how to sell never stay broke. People who refuse to learn how to sell, they live on leftovers. The second skill is communication. Communication is the art of taking what you see and transferring it so clearly that others see it too. Communication is not just words, it's tone, it's timing, it's storytelling, it's energy. The greatest leaders in history were communicators. They didn't just have ideas, they had the ability to communicate those ideas so powerfully that others were willing to live and die for them. Wealthy people master communication because wealth requires influence. Can you persuade? Can you inspire? Can you direct? The way you talk to people determines the doors that open for you. I've seen people with average ideas but masterful communication become wealthy, and I've seen people with brilliant ideas but poor communication remain broke, frustrated, and invisible. Words create worlds. With your words, you can paint pictures. With your words, you can build bridges. With your words, you can build trust or destroy it. And in business, trust is currency. When people trust you, they buy from you. When they don't, they run from you. Communication multiplies trust. Communication creates connection, and connection creates cash flow. The third skill is marketing. And let me tell you, this one separates the rich from the poor faster than almost anything else, because most people believe the lie that the best product wins wrong. The best known product wins. There are people out there making millions with products that are inferior to yours. Why? Because the world knows them and the world doesn't know you. The wealth is not in the product. The wealth is in the perception. Marketing is about visibility. Marketing is about positioning. Marketing is about storytelling at scale. You can have the cure for cancer, but if nobody knows about it, people die while you struggle. Marketing is the megaphone of your value. Marketing is not optional, it is oxygen. If sales is convincing one person at a time, marketing is convincing the masses before you even walk into the room. If you know how to market, you don't have to chase customers, they chase you. The fourth skill is leadership. Let me break this down. You cannot build wealth by yourself. You can't get to millions with only your two hands. At some point, you must learn to lead other people. Leadership is not barking orders. Leadership is not sitting on a throne giving commands. Leadership is serving people so well that they are inspired to bring their best selves to the table. Leadership is not a position, it's a posture. It's a posture of vision, of belief, of inspiration. The difference between addition and multiplication is leadership. A worker can add, but a leader multiplies with leadership. 10 people can accomplish what 100 would do without it, with leadership. A small team can accomplish results that look impossible. That's why wealthy people invest in leadership skills, because they know money follows influence. And leadership is influence. The fifth skill is financial literacy. Money has a language, and if you don't speak it, you will forever be a slave to it. Most people don't need to make more money. They need to learn how to manage the money they already make. Because if you cannot manage thousands, you won't manage millions. If you can't steward a paycheck, you won't steward profits. Wealthy people don't just earn, they allocate. They understand the difference between an asset and a liability. They understand cash flow. They understand leverage. They don't work for money. Money works for them. And the reason most people stay broke is because they treat money like a river instead of a reservoir. It flows in and it flows right back out. Financial literacy teaches you how to build dams, how to channel the flow, how to multiply the streams until your river becomes an ocean. The sixth skill is adaptability. Hear me, markets shift, economies crash, technology evolves. What worked yesterday will not always work tomorrow, and if you're not willing to adapt, you will get left behind. The wealthiest people are not the ones who resist change. They are the ones who embrace it before anyone else sees it coming. They don't cry when the world shifts. They capitalize. They don't mourn when the old ways die. They birth new ones. Adaptability is the ability to pivot in the middle of the storm, to see opportunity where others only see obstacles, to adjust your sail when the wind changes, instead of waiting for the wind to blow in your favor. The seventh skill is problem solving. Business is problem solving for a profit. You get paid in proportion to the size of the problem you solve. The poor avoid problems, the middle class manage problems, and the wealthy solve problems for others and get rich doing it. Think about it. Every single dollar you've ever spent in your life was you paying somebody to solve a problem. You bought that car because it solved your transportation problem. You bought that house because it solved your shelter problem. You bought that food because it solved your hunger problem. People who complain about problems stay broke. People who solve problems create wealth. And the eighth skill is vision. Vision is the ability to see what does not yet exist. Vision is seeing with your imagination instead of your eyes. Vision is believing in the invisible until it becomes inevitable. Everything you see in the world today existed first in someone's mind. The chair you're sitting on was once just a vision. The phone you're using, the building you're in, the clothes you're wearing, all started in someone's imagination. Visionaries build the future while everyone else is stuck surviving the present. Wealthy people are visionaries. They don't just react to the market, they create new markets. They don't just respond to change, they initiate change. And here's the truth. These skills don't just make you wealthy in money, they make you wealthy in freedom. They make you wealthy in options. They make you wealthy in impact. Because at the end of the day, wealth is not about the car you drive or the house you live in. Wealth is about choices. Wealth is about control. Wealth is about buying back your time so you can live your life on your terms. So don't tell me you want millions if you're not willing to master the skills that make millions. Don't tell me you're waiting for a breakthrough while refusing to prepare for it. Don't tell me you're waiting for your big chance when you haven't mastered the small ones. Millions are not reserved for the lucky. They're reserved for the skilled. And the day you decide to stop wishing and start learning is the day you cross the line between survival and success. So here's what I leave you with today. Wealth is not reserved for the privileged few. It is reserved for the prepared few. The world doesn't owe you millions, but the world will reward you millions if you develop the skills that create value at that level. Sales, communication, marketing, leadership, financial literacy, adaptability, problem solving, and vision. These are not just business skills, they are wealth skills. If you master them, money will no longer be something you chase, it will become something you attract. Opportunities will no longer be accidents, they will be predictable, and success will no longer be a mystery. It will be the natural result of your mastery. So stop waiting for luck. Stop waiting for a miracle. Stop waiting for somebody to give you permission. Build the skills, sharpen the skills, and multiply the skills. Because when you do, you won't just make a living, you'll make a life. And that life will not only make millions, it will make impact.